Hello, you guys. Thank you for joining me. Um, Today with Healing with Toni, we are going to, I'm looking at my paper, step into our shadows. And those shadows, two of the shadows we want to look at is we want to chat about the abandonment wound and the rejection wound, right? Those are two wounds that are coming up. Um, Before this, I meditated and I asked what guides, spirit guides that need to come down for whoever's listening to come in. Um, and the people I got was Armidas. So some of you might relate to her. She's like the goddess of the hunt. She's very protective um, of women, children, animals, the forest, nature. Then I ended up getting, I ended up pulling, I usually don't pull offline, but I did because I wanted to, I had, I, okay, so I have this deck and it's my deck of, it's designated for my ancestors and guides and angels and all of that stuff that I work with. And so when a certain card comes out, I knew who's coming up, who wants to talk to me. And so Armidas was one of them, and out of this deck that came up. Well, not every single card is covered. This is the deck. It's ancestral path deck, and so I pull from it when I want to call in who wants to come and work with me. And I got one that has never shown up before, and it was new. It was a that was a it was this one. I'll show you right here. It's the ace of staves, and I was like, that's new. And then on the bottom it was the ace was a 10 of staves, which is to me beginning and end. And I was just like, beginning and end. And I had another deck out because they told me I was going to need this deck out, and it was this um, goddess, gods, and guardians. And I was just like, well, if I'm using my deck to tell me who's coming in, why do I need that? Well, now I know why I needed that, because I was going to have to pull on who that energy was from. So it's two different energies coming up. I got Leah, and it says stand your ground. And she talks about, I was looking at hers, and she's this Australian goddess who went and helped. She likes to help women, right? Um, and she's all about coming in when you need to, like, stand your ground, because that's what she says, stand your ground. And it's for those women who are overly given, who don't stand up for themselves, who don't ask for what they need. She comes in and she tells you to start putting yourself first. It's not a selfish thing to put yourself first and to look after yourself. It's not a bad thing. Um, and and she just speaks for, it might feel uncomfortable. And she has all this water around her, because you got to go with the flow and you have to ask for that. And she's telling you, you're not a living saint, no. And you act like a doormat, and you have needs, and you have dreams, and you have wants, and you have your own wishes. And it says, so start putting yourself first. So she comes in for that. And then we have and then I had, because I was just like, oh, I'm kind of on the fence, because I wanted the things that were in, someone was hanging out in the back. And especially since I already had the idea of stepping into the shadows and working on abandonment wound and rejection wound and talking about those two. And Mother Mary was sitting there, and it says emotional healing. And those step really deep into our emotional healing, especially with that. And now I think I know something. I actually think I know where she's standing. She's definitely standing with that abandonment wound. She is. She's definitely the. Well, okay, yeah, okay. She's definitely that abandonment wound where you feel powerless and vulnerable, and and we get like that, and it happens doesn't mean, and it usually happens in your childhood, and it's not, most of the time it's not intentionally. Some of it is. Yes, we do. We all carry a lot of traumas and different stories. And one of them is, oh, wait a minute. That was, yeah, yeah, yeah. So she is on that abandonment. Like, if you know the story, you know the story of Mother Mary and taking care of Jesus and letting him go off and do his thing at an early age, and you know, feeling like, oh my God, did I abandon my son when he was on the cross as well? Did I abandon him? When I think about it, and I think if that was my child up there, and me being a mother, yeah, what do you think that the feelings is like? I abandoned my child and I couldn't do anything about it, and is my child feeling abandoned? You know, so that abandonment moon is so understanding the roots of it. Where did it come from? Like, where did where did you have to go all the way back? Yeah, this is, and that's those going into those shadow parts, and there's a perfect time to do that right now, because let me tell you, the energy is the energy is calling for it. It's, the energy is calling for change. The energy is calling for balance. Um, all of the planetary stuff that's going on. So it is calling for us to step up, every single one of us, not just me, not just the person listening. Everyone needs to step up, and if you don't step up, you're going to get hit hard with things and shocks and overwhelm. I I'm like, I experience now. I'm in a right now that I let that stuff come up. I got mine early on in this week, a lot of it, and it was just like, whoa. And I had to do a lot of grounding. I had to do a lot of reflecting. I had to do a lot of crying, which crying with that Mary is is a purging of that. You can purge that out of you. You can purge that energy out of you. Crying does, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, nothing wrong with crying and letting go of stuff, because it helps you let go, and it's like that flow. It's also with this works with this Leah card as well. For, was it Leah? Was it Leah? Let me look, because they put the thing on there. Let's see. They said it is Leah. It's Lee, Lee. Ah, Leah. So it's Leah. Um, so standing your ground, but also letting those emotions out, especially I'm looking, yeah, we're still talking about the abandonment one. So I want you to go back, take this moment and go back and write down when you first felt like, when the earliest memory. There we go. Let's do that. Earliest memory, because I'm pretty sure it happened when you were a baby. Because I think back when I had my first child, and I was reading all the books and going on things, and when I was trying to do sleep training, and and the whole cry it out method. And if that is not an abandonment wound, I don't know what it is. And so, but children are very resilient. Um, People are very, well, I guess I can say I'm resilient. Not everyone's really resilient. I'm going to take that back. I would take this back. Okay, so yeah, so with this abandonment, I just pulled two cards, and the universe is behind me on this. It's saying it is time for us to heal this. It's this, we got the Fool card and we got justice here. So with this Fool card, with this abandonment wound, it is and as you can see, it's you, if you look at this Fool card, I love this. There's they drop stuff out of their pack. So it's releasing old ways. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm addicted. I'm going to go off tangent all the time on this. And so just work with me. Um on the new, and you guys, I know some of you probably are like, no, Toni, not don't want to listen to it. Okay, so I personally love. I'm just gonna tell you, I personally love the new Beyonce album. Okay, and the American Requiem is my favorite verses. Is that saying that I'm going to heal my father's sins, and letting go of the old. And that's what this fool reminds me of. It's like, it's a fool is all about taking a leap of faith in something new and different. And if you look at this fool, it's dropped old ways. It's dropped things that no longer serve us, things that no longer serve you or society. And as a collective, as we start dropping these things, we will start healing those things and changing how we show up for each other, how we show up for ourselves, and then show up for each other. Okay? So so going back to getting that folder. So go back to that earliest memory of the time that you felt like no one was there for you, like you had nobody, and it sucked. It sucked ass butt. Okay? It sucked. I can, so if I had to write mine down and think of mine, mine would be, my earliest memory would be like 7. And I remember all the whole shebang, the whole situation, how it went down, and remembering, oh my God, no one's going to do anything. Or yeah, even going back, like, and feeling, oh yeah, and you usually feel abandonment from a parent, and at the time you don't understand, why would that parent, why would they not help you or do that. But now that you're here and you're older and you can understand and you can reflect on it, you can say, oh, my parent was living in their wound or whatever. And you can see that. And me going back to that moment, I can look back at mine and say, I can look back at my mom and say, oh, that's where she was. All through childhood and all through going through this abandonment all through my life, until I got to this point where I was going to heal this and recognize it. I did not see her in her situation. I saw her situation and I felt for her, but I didn't see why she didn't step up in that moment. Okay. And that's when you say, okay, I forgive that. I let that go. I release that. And guess what? That's justice for you. That's balance for you. That's truth for you. That is coming in to your whole being and being able to take it. It feels that now that I think about it, and I go, I'm feeling good just breathing this through. And so I want you to, I'm challenging you to write about that. And so looking at from your point of view, and seeing it, and then seeing how that how you, who you were abandoned from, and looking and writing their point of view and looking at their point of view, and then bringing it to, how can I forgive myself for holding on for that for so long, and how can I forgive them for um, not stepping up for me, and how can I forgive myself for holding on to that anger or remorse or whatever the feeling you have about them or that situation. How can you release that and let that go? So taking all of that and using that for your abandonment. That's what we're going to do on this abandonment wound. That's what we're going to do on the wound today. We're going to journal about it. We are going to write about it. We're going to reflect on it, and we're going to see how we can work through each one of our problems. And that's just one. That was just one, because I said the earliest one. There's multiple ones you will have to go through, and maybe you don't want to write about them. So next time, with it, you don't want to write, say, okay, I'm not going to write. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to meditate on it. And then, so a great way to do is meditate on it and see the situation. And then go back and change it. Okay? And go back. You go back as your adult self now and go back to that child, and you step in as that person who comes and helps your younger self. You're doing it, not anyone else. You are. No one else is saving you but yourself. Okay? And you step back into that, and you do that for yourself, and you do that through meditations and putting yourself back in your memory with your younger self, and giving yourself a hug, or stepping up for yourself and saying, it's okay. You can let this go. I'm here now. And looking at the other person who did it to you, or who did not stand up for you, and looking at them and saying, I release you. I release this. Okay? So those are great things to do. Those are just tools you can use. I am no professional. I've done a lot of reading. I've done a lot of listening to classes. I've done a lot of inner work myself. That's where I'm coming from now. I'm coming from a place of experience and intuition and knowledge I've gathered from others and other things that I've read and gone through. Okay? That's where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from this expert. I'm this expert and I've studied for years and years at the university for this degree to tell you this and to sit back in my chair and to give you this. No, I'm coming to you from my intuition, my experience, my collectiveness of things I've read from professionals, from people who have studied, and I'm giving it to you straight like this. Okay? All right. That's abandonment wound. All right. Let's go to our next wound, rejection wound. We look into the shadow of our rejection. Our rejection wound. Rejection wound is my wound of beating me. Okay, so with rejection wound, now the root cause. Okay, so one of the biggest things, and I think it's awesome, is and if you can skip over this part if you don't believe in this, and people don't believe, you come back and learn these lessons. But I think Earth is like a school for us to learn and grow and heal, right? So when you come into this earth plane, when you come back and you have all those traumas and ancestral traumas that have been passed on, you don't want to come here. Who wants to be here? And people say earth is ghetto. The people say earth is ghetto, or I can't wait to go home, or not wanting to be, that is, it's because earth is a school. And so you're resistant to be here. You're resistant to walk this life. So you're very resistant to it. So you've already rejected not wanting to be here. Before you are in your mother's womb, you have rejected it because you already know. Your soul already knows. Your soul knows a whole bunch of stuff before it comes down here. It does. It is. It already knows a lot of stuff. And then when you come out of your mom's womb, you forget all of that, and you're like, oh, and then you have to go through all of this crap of learning. And then, so I want you to think back after you were born, not before, because you already know that it's going to be hard and you're going to have to go through some bunch of stuff, and you're coming to here to deal with maybe some karma, to deal with some ancestral stuff, to deal with something. Let's forget all about that. We're putting that behind us. We're starting at the point of, when's the first time you felt rejected? Like friends saying, I don't want to play with you, or I don't like you. I don't, something. Think of the first time, the strongest memory. Actually, I want you to do the strongest memory of rejection for you. Think of that strongest time you were rejected. That strongest rejection. I'm thinking with you. That's why I'm in my head. I'm trying to think of my strongest rejection point. Okay, I have mine. I have mine. So think of that strongest one, and we're going back to our journal, and we're going to put that rejection down and how it made you feel. And why do you think you were rejected? So how did it make you feel? Why did you what why why do you think that happened? Why do you think that happened? Actually, just looking at it, like why looking at it now, why do you think that happened? And I can look at mine and I can tell you why mine happened. I know, I can see it clear as day. I didn't see it then, but I can see it now. And a lot of times it's not on you, it's on another person. this card, this. I'm pulling cards on this, but I'm gonna give you some things. Oh my goodness. Yes. Most of you, I'm gonna tell you right now, most of you, your first rejection came from your family somewhere. If you're on a spiritual journey, and most people who are usually are black sheeps of their family, or they're the ones who are different, or ones who are trying to step outside the box, who don't try to follow those family patterns. If you're healing and you're doing that, you're probably one of those, right? Because I'm one of those. And you know who came up? The Queen of Wands. Oh, she's a baddie. She is. When she came up, I laughed. The reason why I laughed is because I know my rejection was out of pure jealousy. Everyone is, oh my gosh. Like, the Queen of Wands is this gifted, beautiful, oh my God, she's this, everyone wants to be the Queen of Wands, be with the Queen of Wands. And I'm not trying to, I'm not saying this out of, like being conceited or, egotistical. I'm saying this out of, I didn't see my, like, you didn't see some of your power and your strength. You didn't see your light, but other people did. And pure jealousy. I'm going to tell you right now, pure jealousy. And some of you might be like, no, mine wasn't jealousy. Mine was, envy. Some people was envy. There was envy in there. There's something in there of that rejection. And you were, and being rejected it helped you come in with yourself, because you've got the Hermit here too. I love what we got we like court cards, major arcana. So these are major lessons going on right here. So it made you look, that Hermit card, if you see this Hermit, she's looking in at this Queen of Wands. It made you look in and see the beauty in yourself. And you had to, and that's finding, that is going through the whole process of doing some self-love and seeing your worth. So now that we know where you have this rejection, why do you think that happened? Because it's probably when you were younger. Why did that your big, actually it's your biggest rejection. And I can look at some of my other rejections and I can look back and it was just, I was my light was too bright, I was too much or something, and those people wanted to knock it down, and so you had to go in and say, it's okay to have this light. It's okay to be fun and beautiful and think outside the box, to sound white. And as you know, in my family, it would be, that's why do you sound white? Why are you talking white? I would get, I got that. And so it's, you get to be who you want to be. There's no their way. Forget the rejection. So you're in your journal. You're looking at your journal. You wrote down your biggest moment of rejection. Why do you think that happened? And saying, and why you think that they're wrong. Why are they wrong? They're wrong because they are, a lot of times it's people reflecting their own stuff, their own wounds onto you. And a lot of times when we get that from our parents, or people who are older than us, they've lived in this world, and they want to reflect that down on us. And I have to remember to not reflect my crap on my kids. And I love my kids, because as my kids will, they tell me straight up, and it's great, because I love it, because I can take it in, and I can listen, and I can learn. My daughter will say, "Mom, that's your experience. That's not mine." And she's right. She is right. She's right. But I can tell her what I experienced, so she knows, and she can take it with her, but she doesn't have to live it. And it's a beautiful thing. So taking that rejection wound and going through it, and saying, and looking at why you were rejected, and why they were right, why they wasn't right, and why do you think, what were they reflecting in them, in their shadow to you, and what in your shadow is holding on to that. What are you holding on to? Okay, so if you can look at that and see what you're holding on to and what you can release, and again, using this emotional healing with Mother Mary, and having her help you process that. And also the hermit mode, going down in hermit mode, going within, shining that light within. If you can look, what are these cards are all about, are light cards. There's this this light. You are this light right here. And you have to shine that light also on your inner beauty. And maybe they were just seeing your outer beauty, and or something that was outward, and you can show your light from out and in, and I think that's a great thing. Okay, so those are our two shadows that we can look at with both of those. One of the other things I recommend with both of those, with the abandonment and the rejection, is getting grounded, taking the time. If you need to, you can do grounding meditations. Some of the greatest grounding meditations is putting your feet on the ground and seeing roots being from the ground, and taking that energy from the earth, and the roots from the earth, that keeps you grounded, that keeps you feeling that you're whole, and you're not in pieces, but you're whole as one, and that you're connected, and you're staying connected. Other great ways to ground is, we there's so many other ways you can ground. Is one of the good ways is actually eating root vegetables. So root vegetables are vegetables that are that grow down in the ground, like a carrot. Like carrots are root vegetables. Potatoes are root vegetables. Beets, radishes. Mine personally, I do, is carrots and potatoes. That's why they were easy to come up. But oh, you know what? I love sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes. So root vegetables are wonderful for helping you ground. So food, because I think it's important that we do, are very conscious of the food we put in ourselves, but also looking at that food of because food, when it comes to food, it helps, especially natural foods, it helps grounding in certain colors as well. So the root is connected to our root chakra, which would be also red foods as well. So you can start and look at red foods. You can do strawberries or cherries, if you want to go that fruit route. So looking at those red fruits like that, or raspberries, or again, root vegetables are wonderful because they're in the ground. They're going to have some of that wonderful earth, especially if they're organic, flowing with them and in them, and that life flows within you. And so it makes you feel connected to the earth more when you're eating those natural foods and not processed foods. Going outside, of course, will keep you grounded. If you're in a place where you can walk barefoot, that's wonderful because you can do earthing, and that's like having your bare feet connected to the earth. That's a wonderful thing to do. As if you know me, I love to be outside. And oh, my thing's dying. So that's another thing. So these are just things for helping you stay grounded as you work through your shadows, work through if you this abandonment or work these rejections. Those are things that you can do, and there's a lot of things people post about meditations that you can tap into. Okay, um, so those are the things I do to stay grounded. I also yoga is, and there's um, certain yoga poses. You can actually Google um, yoga poses for grounding, and a million will pop up for you. But there's also here on YouTube, you can find people who will do um, grounding, yoga for grounding, staying grounded. You will find that. You will find meditations for grounding. You can find that all here on YouTube, or Googling it. Okay, so you can do any of those to pull that information up for yourself, and so that you're taking in. Even though I'm giving you this information, I'm telling you some of the steps. You can do this, and then it gives you the process of finding people that you enjoy, that you connect with. I can tell you a million people I use, but you're like, I don't like that person, because there are yoga people that I watch on. There's like, I have 2 or 3 people that I love on YouTube that and I rotate through. I wrote because they're not everyone always puts something up, and they don't all have the same practices, and which is fine, and which I like to keep it fun. So I like to switch things up. I do have my routine on things, but I do like to experiment and learn new things. So that's why I will change out and connect with different yoga people. Meditation, I'm gonna say great meditations. I can't pass them up. They have, and the thing about great meditations is they're wonderful. The girl has the main person who's usually doing it. Love her voice, but they will switch it up, and they will have this British man, and he has like this British accent, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's really fun. So they do change it up. So but it's nice, and great meditations they have they usually are 10 minutes, but they have like 15-minute ones, 20-minute ones, 30-minute ones, and then they also have a little channel that's a 5-minute one where it's like 5 minute. I forgot what it's like, but it's probably on the other page. But so I'm all like talking about, I'm not being sponsored by any of this. I'm just telling you what I use. I'm just gifting you things that I used throughout my healing journey on different levels that I use. Newest thing I found is this guy who does, I really love breath work. He does these, he has minute ones, and he has 5-minute breath work ones. And it's awesome because even though I've learned to do the different techniques, he has it where you can watch the screen and it goes up and down. When you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and it does the number count, like sometimes like at 5 count or an 8 count or something like that. So breath work is wonderful. I love breath work. You guys go do some breath work. Okay. So those are the things that I do. I do a lot of more things than that, but those are some ideas to just be grounded and connecting with those abandonment wounds and that rejection wound, and just checking in with our shadows and say, hey shadow, how you doing today? Or hey shadow, how you doing this week? Check in with your shadow. It's there. Don't ignore it, because it's part of you. And check in with it and say, hey, do we need to work on some stuff? You okay? Check in with it. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. You can get this a like. You can comment. You can find my information down below on my website, tonimarcourt.com. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye.